Now, before I give you the usual Indy 500 welcome spiel, I'd just like to note that John Tesh totally ripped off the Yellow Magic Orchestra for his Roundball Rock theme. So, for anybody out there willing to discuss that, maybe we can form a political action committee and get some action
That'll
taken
be our
care of on
next
this.
basketball centered episode.
Yeah, I think so. But until then, you are listening to the Indy 500 podcast, where each week we break down a different album from the Enemy Top 500 Albums of All Time list. However, as all you boys, girls, children, compulsive gamblers, and closet bracket fans know, this week is the tournament you've been waiting all year for. That, of course, being the Indy 500 podcast's March Madness tournament to determine number 501. We've taken it upon ourselves to select a field of 32 albums that didn't make the cut on the initial 500 that we personally feel deserve some recognition and will, in fact, receive that recognition as the top three of this tournament will receive a standalone episode breakdown with all the bells and whistles you've grown to love and expect, like the salivating dogs you are. Of course, Brady and I need a little help, so we enlisted some of the top minds around the world for this modern day gauntlet. Of course, we are speaking of hosts on of recorded on a podcast with better equipment, and the Mo to our Larry and Curly, Kyle Reif. But in
Thank you.
true tournament style, we need to have a fourth bracket, and we solicited nominees from contributors, guests, and fans of the show in what we call our contributor bracket. So, how does it work? We had the help of a little magic box ranking the albums by bracket, seeded 1 through 8, and generate matchups to have the album go head to head until the winners are crowned. The criteria? I don't know. But seriously, there's no specific metric as much as which album gets 2 of the 3 votes. But we will be considering quality of the music, culture and lasting impact. Is this something Enemy might even put on the list? As well as, did these albums have an impact on us, the judges? Were they gateways to a new sound, formative in our music education and the source of inspiration? Otherwise, the only criteria we're sticking to is like the original Top 500. They must be released in 2013 or prior. Other than that, bring on all genres, artists, countries of origin. Let the games begin. But before we do, I guess I'm curious. The actual NCAA tournament field for basketball is 68, and we're going with 32. How hard did you guys find it to whittle down just to 8 albums?
I'll let Kyle go first.
Uh, it was extremely hard.
Yeah.
I was calling in. I was phoning friends. I was doing a lot of research. I had all the original 500 in an Excel sheet, just like barreling through trying to figure out like who's not on here, who is, who has too many records represented, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it took me a long time. Um I feel confident in my choices.
Yeah, because originally our conception of the tournament was going to be like we were also going to try and kick out an album, and
Yeah.
that did become kind of hard. But yeah, there are a lot of there's I mean there's some people who do have too many albums on the list, and that was like the easiest way to find one of those. But we did decide just to keep it. That seemed a little negative Nancy to us, so we decided
I
to
don't
keep
know.
Yeah.
it what
I
we're
loved
adding.
Renshaw's thing about the libertines. That was
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
funny to me.
it's true, and you sent us an MP3 talking there's albums from 2013 like just months before
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
list came out that are actually on
Well,
the list, which is
a little
shocking.
little bit of recency bias. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
It's always that fun game of, which movie will actually be remembered as the best picture 5 years from the actual
Oh
Oscars
yeah.
and not the year
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
It's almost never. Yeah, yeah. I did have a tough time. I had a tough time, yeah, kind of just figuring out what wasn't there that was, it felt like every day I'd find something really obvious that I'm like, well, how am I not
Mm-hmm.
gonna how am I not gonna include that in my list of 8? But of course, there's more than 8, so now I'm looking at things where I'm like, all of these really should have been on there, but now they can't even all be on mine.
Right.
I'm
Right.
pulling the same sin. There's things that are, yeah. So yeah, it was tough.
Well, I'm
Helio?
gonna I'm gonna call it right here. When we do this again next year, maybe one of the standing rules is that no repeats of this year's tournament. Just that way we get some new blood in there and shake it up a little
Yeah,
bit.
we could do that.
It was easy, I thought, for me for the first 7 or well, I'd say most of it was pretty easy for me until my dear friend Brady reminded me that one of my choices actually was from 2017, and
Ooh.
I originally put up there King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard's Murder of the Universe, and he called me out on it. I wasn't really paying attention, so now I'm in this moment of like, I don't even know what my replacement's going to be up until we get to that match, quite honestly. And I'm guessing by the look on everybody's face that it's going to be the
It's the
first one that we
yeah.
talk about.
I mean, if we're going in order of if you want to follow along, I think if you want to follow the choices live, you'll want to watch like the YouTube version of the show. I've got my screen shared, which shows the brackets that we can update in real time. But yeah, on those brackets, that
Yeah,
King Gizzard is in the first match there.
yeah. Well, with that being said, I guess do you want to know my new pick, and then we can hash it out a little bit.
Yeah, we can dive right into that
Let's
matchup
do
and then
it. Yeah,
start
yeah.
All
start
right.
round robining.
So the number one seed for my bracket was the Cars self-titled album. I think start to finish, there's not a weak song on that. Most of them are actually like commercial radio hits. Kind of set the tone for synth, pop rock type stuff in the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, hard to go wrong. But as far as replacing King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, I'm gonna go with The Real Thing by Faith No More. I feel like Epic alone, is an all-timer, and then you have a lot of just really coming into this peak, like Mike Patton going on there, even a little bit of like precursor to kind of, I don't want to say new metal, but that combination of different vocal stylings going on with the commercial rock sense. And God, I mean that cover of War Pigs to end it is just so damn good. So yeah, there we go. Cars versus Faith No More.
I'll tell you, I'm a little more familiar with the Cars, that album.
Okay.
I have definitely heard the real thing and tracks from it, but as far as like I've
I
had it,
mean,
I've had it on and I've had it played a bunch. Like that Cars self-titled is kind of that's one of those that I talked about where I saw that was not on the list and I said, what were they doing?
how did that not exactly?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I got to go with Brady. Cars. Rick Ocasek is one of my favorite guitar players. I'm a Weezer devotee. Uh, I mean, through Pinkerton only. Obviously, I'm a millennial. I can't go into the later catalog. But I
Well,
would say,
we'll just pretend that doesn't exist. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so yeah, Cars all the way.
I don't
I think it's a
that's his
clean sweep.
fault, really.
Yeah. Cars it is.
Okay. How about this? Now that we're into the matches, how about we give ourselves one group veto per our own.
One override if we need
That's a
to.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Something we feel
that's
strongly
okay.
about.
I feel like there's also going to be moments where I'm like, I don't know enough about one of these, so I'm going to like send my proxy vote over to the owner of the bracket. But I mean, in this case, I do. In this case, I do have enough knowledge that I would say I want the Cars to go through. But
Yeah.
okay.
Let's do it. Cars it is.
All right. Here we go. Let's see what happens as I
No upsets
report
to start
scores.
the. Oh, you got to put in like 3-0
There
or
we
something.
go. There
There
we
we
go.
go.
Yeah,
Nice.
they have like a. Are you sure? Yeah, the tournament. I mean, this is used for all kinds of stuff, but I've seen this web page used mostly for fighting game tournaments, and yeah, so over there they really want you to confirm at least like twice. Did this person really go through? Like,
The
are
Cars
you
really
sure?
won. Yes. Sorry,
The
Mike
Cars really-
Patton.
yeah,
But
sure,
yes.
sure looks like it. Okay, on to Group B, which is Kyle's group. The first matchup is uh, Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever versus Daughters Hell Songs. So tell us
What
about
a
both,
matchup.
please. Yes.
Full insanity. So, my case for Tom Petty Full Moon Fever is that I mean Tom Petty one not represented on the original Enemy list at all. Absurdity. Absolute hit maker.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
Which is crazy because it's like you've got the latter day Kurt Vile with his record "Constant Hitmaker" and Petty's. Kurt Vile's on there with "Smoke Ring for My Halo." Petty's not on there. Uh, what a what
Yeah.
an absurd denial.
Yeah.
And yeah, Full Moon Fever has by far the most hits on a Petty album. I think one of the best records of his. Daughters, Hell Songs is I think the best combination of like Napalm Death era grindcore with like later Jesus Lizard. Nobody quite sounds like them going into this like 2010s era, and it's a more accessible album than almost anything coming out of that scene. So I think like obviously like Converge's Jane Doe, Botch's We Are the Romans, those kind of things coming out of the tech metal scene are really they're absolute classics within that genre, but something that I don't think Enemy would ever have covered. But I think Hell Songs sits in this place where it's just accessible enough that they would have covered it in context of something like a Jesus Lizard ripoff, even though it's more complex than that. Um, and yeah, that's my pitch.
No, I'm really glad you put that one on there because I felt like knowing the three of us and our musical tastes, there was a distinct lack of like noise rock type things. Like I was hoping somebody would throw up like Locust or Hella, somebody in that vein. But kind of this one at least waves the flag, even though it's against some tough competition.
True. Yeah. You guys vote
I
first.
think it has.
I'll,
Yeah, I
I'll,
think it has to be Petty. I mean,
I'll hand my proxy vote over so you can decide this. But I will say I'm vastly more familiar with Full Moon Fever.
Yeah, I think it has to go Petty too, and mostly because he's not represented. I mean, Daughters isn't represented either, but ultimately, like, I think the more classic album is Petty. So
Yeah, it's interesting. He's not represented on the NME list, but he is almost over represented in our tournament because
yeah,
I have won the contributor the contributors bracket has one, and you have one too. So yeah, I am glad to see that. I've talked on the show plenty about Tom Petty
yeah.
not being on there, and then
I
on
mean,
top
at
of
the end of
that,
the day, yeah, this one too is like cross generation hits. I mean, like,
true.
my parents like it. I'm sure my kids will like it. There's no you had to be here to like this music. You had to be into this sort of thing. It's Tom Petty. Who doesn't
yeah,
freaking
it's
like
very
Tom Petty?
it's very timeless.
Yeah. All right,
Onto the Brady bracket.
Mr. Brady. Yes. What do you have for your 1-8? Oh, look at a
So
familiar name and the
so
number one
speaking
spot
of,
there.
yeah, speaking of, Tom ended up in my first match as well. The two albums in my first match are Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' "Damn the Torpedoes." Maybe them slightly, I don't know. I was going to say maybe it's the slightly more normie pick, but between those two, those are pretty. Those have some real crossover hits. And the second album that he's going against is Tyler the Creator's Wolf, which I think I think it's probably an easier decision for. I mean, I think it's an easy decision, but it's probably an easier decision for other people. I
No,
saw.
I'm super familiar with Tyler the Creator. I think like
Okay.
Wolf is the best pick you can make given 2013 is the cutoff. Right?
Yes,
Like
see
Goblin.
that was what I was going to talk
Yeah.
about. If I understand why the actual list doesn't have it, but if they were to be a lot like Rolling Stone will like every like 5 years, Rolling Stone updates their top 500, and if they were to do something like that, I think they would need to find room for Wolf.
Yeah, Wolf is great.
But
I
I'm
feel
glad
like
I'm glad you're familiar with them.
more consistent than Goblin for sure. Even though Goblin has Yonkers.
Yeah, which is
I
kind
mean,
of a
I
mega
think
hit.
I don't know. I think if they did a reboot now, there'd be tough competition with the rest of his catalog, right? I mean, like Flower
Yeah.
Boy is up there.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I was thinking if they were going by the same criteria with us and they had to like cut it off at 2013.
Oh,
but,
had to cut off at
But oh yeah,
2013. Gotcha,
if that
gotcha.
was the case, if that was the case, and they're like updating and including like newer years, like yeah, there's stuff that would leapfrog this. But for the context of us like only being able to do 2013, I think that would be able to replace at least some stuff going on
I'm going to raise a practical question at this time,
Yeah.
and it's not about Stonehenge for what it's worth.
Ah,
So there's do you guys feel good about the possibility of 3 Tom Petty albums being the next out of 16?
E- I
'Cause
think
I'm
I
yes.
have,
wondering.
I have zero problem with that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Oh, in
I
context of
feel
the
like
idea
one
that
has to go.
if you guys are doing an episode about Petty, right? Like the each record has a really interesting story behind it. Like Wildflowers
Yeah.
has a really interesting story. Damn the Torpedoes as well. I think like any of the, if whichever one wins, I think there's a good story to
I mean,
it.
there's a very well done documentary that's 4 hours long for for him, and I had absolutely
Right.
no qualms sitting through the whole thing, and yeah, that's
Okay.
more than a
I
Lord of the
mean,
Rings
like,
movie.
I think maybe the next round I'll get a little more selective about it, but I can respect that for now. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like the guy could do a whole like 4 or 5 episode run between those albums, Traveling Wilburys, even other
Oh,
early
sure.
stuff going on. Like plenty to talk about with Mr. Petty. So yeah, let's go,
Uh,
Tom.
I'm willing to go 50-50. If Kyle if Kyle wants to throw down the gauntlet for Tyler, I will close my eyes and follow my heart. If you guys are gonna make this a fight, but if not,
Oh, I was gonna vote Petty. I love I
okay,
love Wolf
then
as a
he goes
record,
through.
but that was my vote. Sorry.
Okay,
So
that was kind of my.
what's the other matchup?
That kind of
in the
matches
contributor
my.
bracket?
That kind of matches my write up on Wolf. Like of all the albums in the 8 here, that especially when he goes up against Tom Petty, that's more of a, you know, everybody take note that he's here, and that album's here, and everybody.
Yes.
If you're not familiar, please go check it out.
Yeah, listen
The
for
other
sure.
thing, yeah, the other thing is Frank Ocean's Channel Orange is on the list, so it's not that Tyler will go completely untalked about as the show goes on. So yeah, I'm
That's
not
fair.
I'm not gonna cry about that one. All right, reporting that Tom Petty is 2 for 2. Here he goes. All right. And then finally, we're down to our contributor group. I hopefully, well, I mean, I have them written down, but let's see. So the 2 albums are Peter Gabriel's "So" versus Laurie Anderson's "Big Science." And do we recall where those picks come from? Let's see.
I believe they're both Mr. Quinn, our
Oh,
reporter
actually,
who flew
no,
the
no.
coop
Those
to
those two oh no. Laurie Anderson is from David Renshaw, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And opening up the Wikipedia page.
I have a little blurb on it here.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. The power rankings put Laurie Anderson, Big Science, at 26 out of 32 on our list. It was released in 1982 on Warner Brothers. The hit or recommended songs off that: "Oh Superman," "From the Air," "Big Science." Described as a singular art pop performance record that made avant-garde ideas unusually public-facing. It remains one of the most important intersections of spoken word, electronics, and conceptual pop. But unfortunately, for all those merits, she's against possibly one of the best pop albums of the 80s in terms of Peter Gabriel's "So." Sledgehammer, "In Your Eyes," "Don't Give Up." I mean, really, commercial peak. I think there are days where I like saying that I like some of his Genesis stuff a little more than his solo stuff, but that's also me being a pretentious prog rock ass. So, guys, what do you think?
Yeah. I think the only caveat here is knowing David Renshaw, the small amount that we do, and interacted with him. He may never talk to us again if his album gets kicked off by Peter Gabriel.
That's true. That's
This
true.
is a man who was too young for Queen and had no qualms in telling us that. So
That it's mom rock. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what all the mums listen
so
to.
let's keep that in mind. Even though I do agree that Peter Gabriel should move through.
You know,
I've
I'm-
listened to Big Science. I'm familiar with it.
Okay,
But I gotta
good.
say, Gabriel brings the sledgehammer down. That's how it is.
Yeah, I was yeah.
I mean, I'm totally fine
I did
with
put
causing.
Sledgehammer on recently, and I was like, God,
we talked about it before the show. Like, I'm totally fine with causing chaos in the contributor bracket since they're not
Okay.
here
Yeah.
and upending everything. But
Yeah.
it's pretty
This
hard
is,
not to go with Peter Gabriel.
we're a traditional show. If you're not here, yeah, there's no there's
Yeah,
no
I
deference
mean,
being
like
given.
literally, my first dance at my wedding was to "In Your Eyes." So, like,
Okay.
Oh,
how can I not vote for that song?
Well, there he goes.
All right,
Peter Gabriel's through. All right.
back to the top.
Back to the top. All right. Here we go with
A
two albums
battle
that
of
were allowed.
yeah, a battle
Although
of guitar heroes from different eras, perhaps.
yes. So
Yeah, Van Halen's self-titled album. Um, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then holy hell, get to your local library and look up this album. And then Muse Absolution. That was kind of one of their bigger albums. Pulling up my notes on it real quick. Hysteria, Time is Running Out. This is the one that kind of broke them big into the international arena. Level headliners. It's a good mix of kind of Queen, modern rock, a little bit of prog drama, that alt sound, and even I don't know. Fans love them. They're definitely UK big, of course, big in the States as well. But it's something I'm kind of surprised not to see it on the list. But at
yeah.
the same time, like maybe there's too much of a commercial thing going on, or something where I could see maybe enemies like this is too normy for what we're doing here.
Yeah, and I don't feel like it was like unappreciated in its time. I mean,
No, no, I mean there's a
something I may say over and over again as we look at these albums, but Grimes is on the list.
right. Yeah.
right. There you go. Yeah.
Now,
Um,
Muse may not be your absolute number one with a bullet. What is this not doing here? But more than Grimes,
right. Right. I mean,
or
at the end of the day, like
another one I
this
will
one,
talk later.
I'm kind of laughing at the way the Magic Box set this up. That it would have Muse ahead of Van Halen. I mean, at the end of the day, like Eddie changed guitar playing for the next, God, I don't know. Well, still feeling the effects of Eddie's guitar playing. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah,
Um, Matt Bellamy has done some really cool stuff. He's a great frontman. I really love his incorporation of like the Chaos pad into his guitar and like kind of the madness he can create with that. Super cool. But
So, sold
Van
a ton of
Halen,
fuzz pedals. Plug-in Baby
yeah,
sold a lot of ZVEX effects pedals.
yes, absolutely. And David Lee Roth sold a lot of Dr. Roxo impersonations, on Metalocalypse. So I'll give him that. We wouldn't have Dr. Roxo without David Lee Roth, without Van Halen. So
yeah.
I don't know. I'm
I I think Muse is a victim of their seeding here.
yeah, tough.
Is
It's a tough draw.
they? I think they would have had a fight against maybe three to four others on your list, but
Fully
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know they can overcome this one.
So Van Halen it is, huh?
I
Eddie
believe
shreds.
so, unless you want to throw up a veto there.
Nah, it's
All
it's
right,
a
so
tough one, but it's not that tough.
your first semifinalist set. Two self-titleds going against each
Oh,
other.
yeah,
The Cars
yeah.
self-titled and Van Halen self-titled. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, down to Group B. This is Kyle's.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll jump in. So Joanna Gruesom's Weird Sister versus Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats' Bloodlust. Weird Sister, I think, is like a shoegaze classic of the late or early 2010s. I think obviously Joanna Gruesome was short lived. They only did 2 records with their original lineup, and they do a great job of combining Riot Girl style, kind of like punk rock, a la Kathleen Hanna, Bikini Kill kind of stuff, with like My Bloody Valentine style shoegaze, and even like kind of K Records era twee, and just in like the best package. I'm surprised that it didn't like cross the desks of somebody at NME at this time. It just seems like such a they're British, they're from Cardiff. It seems like something that they would have really been into.
The
I
magazine
mean,
loves shoegaze. I mean,
yeah.
no
Yeah,
secret there.
we have been alerted to. There's a few kind of hometown homers on the actual enemy list who because the way that the list is put together, like if you put something unusually high on your list, you know, even if it's just you going solo, there's a decent chance that it makes the list anyway.
Sounds like
Oh,
super
okay,
furry
okay.
animals you might be referencing there.
Yeah.
There's yeah, so there's I mean, yeah, there's that, and real famously, Kyle, I don't know if you know, but one of the contributors to the list, Laura Snapes, listed I think four different albums from the
The
National in her top
National.
four.
Yeah. I read that. Yeah.
And for the record, we did get in contact with Laura Snapes, and she declined an interview with us, even though
Oh.
Our
I was
our
trying to
slander has
intimate
just
that
been
I was
too
trying to
heavy.
intimate, you know, and we've said on the show, we'll be very fair. We're, you know, we're not gonna, we would never, you know, we would never we would never be mean to any enemy contributor who came to talk about us. But who
We
knows?
just
I
want
mean,
to hear what's
I
up.
think it was
Yeah.
a nod. I mean, I think it was kind of a nod at this time. So I don't know. Maybe as we rack up a few more of them, we can get some back channels to
Yeah, yeah. Maybe she'll
Yeah.
come. She'll come
to tell her
around.
that we won't. We're not the kind of people who will you know, drag her for that. We just want to hear about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
I'd
cool.
be curious to hear her take on it as well.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, Joanna Gruesome, great record. I think it's an instant classic. Um, and then Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats, Bloodlust. I think this is their first record and probably the only one that qualifies for the list. But it's great combination of like Beatles tunefulness with Sabbath style production. Um, one of my favorite records of all time, honestly. This is a tough bracket. I've made a decision on what who I would send through, but I guess I'd love to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, these are two that were new to me, but I did actually get to listen through both of these. Um, one of the cool things I liked about listening to the Joanna Gruesome album is I did kind of listen to some like Riot Girl related stuff in like the early OOs, and then like yeah, that you mentioned like this is like a 2010s. You know, I had never heard like where that, you know, where that genre kind of evolved, and like that was a very cool it was a very cool new version of that I hadn't heard. And then Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats, you know, that kind of music and that kind of Sabbath inspired um, rock slash metal is very much having a, I don't know if it's a moment or if it's just that it's kind of naturally, you know, the it was always there, and now it's just kind of growing. Like people, there's a lot of pedals being sold just on the back of like, does it
Oh
doom
yeah.
now? Like
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
thing. So I mean, yeah, both of these I
I
would
mean,
throw over
yeah.
my proxy
Yeah.
vote just because I've only heard them each once, but I really like both of them.
I'd probably lean towards Uncle Acid on this one, but that's not to say I didn't love the other one as well. I think Uncle Acid for me was kind of like I'm really into Sleep. I'm really into Electric Wizard, a lot of those stoner doom metal bands, but this one I think really breathed some new life into the possibilities of what like that sound could be. Um, you know, the elevator pitch I've always given people on it is like imagine Sabbath riffing with like the John Lennon automatic double tracked like vocals over the top of it. You
Yep.
know, like
Yep.
super cool sound. Just dirty, gnarly, kind of almost this like 70s B horror, you know, feel to it and everything going on. A little dark and sinister. So that would be my vote.
I guess if I'm taking the proxy vote, I'll just go with what I was gonna go with, which was I was gonna go with Joanna Gruesome. Sorry, Helio. I
It's
feel like
okay.
it's more of a classic record to me. I feel like it's fresher than the Uncle Acid stuff. I love the Uncle Acid record, like I said, but I think there's a million bands retreading Sabbath, and I don't think there's that many bands trying to combine like Twee, Riot Girl, and shoegaze. And I think that because of there's such a resurgence of shoegaze now with bands like They're Gutting a Body of Water and Feeble Little Horse and stuff like that coming out of the Pennsylvania shoegaze scene, that I feel like it's relevant now as well.
That's totally fair. I'll buy it. I mean, we can't be all unanimous. Or unanimous. What fun would that be?
Not true, true.
Yeah, I do really like that Joanna Gruesome
So I'm
album though.
curious. You talked about they did only have the two albums. Did they, the members go on to other projects, or what kind of became of them?
So the lead singer Alana McCardle left the band after the second full length record, they tried to replace her with two other female singers, and with terrible results. I saw them with the two singers and they were awful live. Um, they're part of a bigger scene, which is called the Gob Nation scene in Cardiff. So in the same way that there's like the Julia's War like shoegaze scene in Philadelphia, they have this scene in Cardiff that's a bunch of bands that all share different members like in the same scene. So the
Oh,
band The
nice.
Tubbs is part of that scene. There was a band that had the songwriter and Lana from Joanna Gruesome called X Void. That was part of that scene as well. So they did go on to have another band after this that was pretty close to them called X Void. They also recently broke up. Unfortunately, they did two full length records as well. And now the only guy left is Owen, who has the band The Tubbs, and they actually just toured the States maybe like 4 months ago.
Oh,
So
nice.
hopefully we'll see more from Owen and the Tubbs and that scene, the Cardiff scene.
Awesome.
Right on. So your first semifinal is set. Uh, Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever versus Joanna Gruesome, Weird Sister.
It's tough. It's a tough
That's,
bracket.
that's kind of tough. All right.
This one's
On
actually going to
to
be tough. I'm not looking forward to this match.
onto the Brady bracket. Back in. This was an interesting twist of seeding. I have Opeth's Blackwater Park versus Megadeth's Rust in Peace. Let me find my notes on this. So if if my last match was apples to oranges, this one is the least apples to oranges, and maybe the hardest to decide in this first grouping. I wrote
Mangoes
down.
to mangoes, maybe?
Yes, I wrote down. I wish the ring had never come to me, Gandalf. Why oh why, why oh why do I have to choose between Rust in Peace and Blackwater Park?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a wrong answer here. But personally, in the end, I felt like modern metal is entirely unrepresented in the enemy list circa 2013, whereas big thrash, as much as I disagree with who is representing it, it is represented. I I don't think, in the grand scheme of things, that Mustaine will go entirely untalked about in the full lifetime of the show, one way or the other. But I am afraid that if I don't put Opeth through, then perhaps them and the entire kind of Steve Wilson production experience may not have a natural spot to be featured. I mean, we did do a homework segment one time on Wilson's last, but yeah,
Yeah.
don't be
I mean,
mad at
for
don't be mad at me,
spoilers,
Dave.
my 2027 bracket's going to be all Steve Wilson adjacent projects. So,
Yeah,
we'll get one through there eventually.
yeah. Did you guys have a dog in this fight? I mean, Rust in Peace. Yeah, I have no more to say on that.
Rust in Peace is like,
It's so difficult.
yeah, Rust in Peace is like the thrash form perfected, in my opinion.
They
You know,
should be in there over at least one of the Metallica albums, but
like,
that's Enemy's fault. That's not my fault.
yeah. Now, if I recall, Rain and Blood's on there too, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah. So like I've seen Slayer 6, 7 times. I love Slayer. I'm a Slayer fan. 6, 7
there
for
you
all
go.
you kids
Yeah,
out there.
that's for my son.
Oh God, wonderful times. Having said that, like Rust in Peace is a better album than Rain and Blood, from start to finish. There are
Yes.
certainly
Full
songs on
agree.
Rain and Blood where like these are all timers too. The title track itself is just
Yeah.
unreal. Having said that, there's so many moments on Rust in Peace that are just kind of
Yeah.
holy shit playing. Whether it's Marty Friedman, whether it's Dave Mustaine's riffs. I mean, even just everything through it. Do Hangar 18 like talk about all time songs from the genre, like incredible
Hmm.
song.
Yeah, and that one has gone, that one's gone kind of general because it was like the big thing for one of the Guitar Hero games. So
Right,
everybody's heard that one now.
right.
But
Having said
Opeth's
all that,
Blackwater
like
Park is Blackwater Park.
that was the one that turned the key for me on like the gateway to like the more modern Swedish death metal sound. From there I got into Children of Bodom and all these other great acts that otherwise I probably wouldn't have had any exposure to. But it was basically I think it was probably you, Freddie, that turned me on to Blackwater Park. And from there, it was just like, okay, yep, this is my jam for the next 15 years here. This the sound and everything. So
Yeah,
let's do it. So that's,
and
dude, that's a tough one.
not to let it influence anybody, but you had a marriage connection to Peter Gabriel. The Opeth show that we went to, I was at that time unwittingly in the room with my future wife, who I wouldn't know for at least another couple of years at that
That's
show.
awesome.
When we went to go see them, pretty much, I think it was the album or two. I think it was like the two albums, the two
Damnation
sister
Deliverance.
albums after this one, but it was very much within the Blackwater Park era.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my vote. D- Kyle, did you have a dog in this fight?
Uh, I will say that I'm very familiar with Opeth. I'm not a huge Opeth fan personally. I I have seen Opeth live and Porcupine Tree. My my wife's dad is a huge like Opeth Steven Wilson fan. But that said, like my heart is with like 90s thrash metal all the way. Megadeth and Mustaine. Mustaine is incredible guitar player. Like that kind of crazy shreddy guitar playing is like that's like my bread and butter. I love that. I would go Rust in Peace just because yeah, classic record to me. But I hear you. The modern metal is so underrepresented on the list as a whole that like if you guys want to pull Opeth ahead, I'm
That
totally here
that
for it.
really is that really is the. I mean, yeah. In my notes, that was the tipping point for me because yes, this is of all my initial matches, this is the most. Yeah, this is my Rosemary's Baby, and I'm just gonna
Well, hang
I'm
on,
just gonna
hang
move
on.
on from it.
Uh,
I don't want to think about this anymore.
okay.
It's only gonna get worse. It's only gonna get worse as we go on. So
Yeah, I was gonna say like I think I would vote for Rust in Peace. Having said that, I know you're gonna override it and veto it if I do.
I,
So for
I
the sake
don't
of
I don't
diplomacy,
know that
like
I don't know that I would. Although, strategically looking ahead, I might have felt that no. But no, like I said, like this one is the most 50-50. If you both
yeah.
would have said Megadeth, I would have been perfectly happy putting them in.
Ask me
That's
again
that
tomorrow. My answer is
yeah.
probably gonna be different. Yeah.
That said, as we got into this episode, I wasn't aware that we weren't going to dictatorially choose our own our
Mm,
own brackets. So I do have choices written out, and I did choose Opeth, but if I would have been outvoted and Megadeth got through, I wouldn't. There would be no tears shed.
okay.
All right, so moving on, the contributor region once again. The two albums that we have. So there's one from a Twitter, not Twitter. It's Blue Sky. I'm not on Twitter anymore. A Blue Sky fan handed us off Public Enemy's "Yo, Bum Rush the Stage," and I believe Rick Quinn handed us Fiona Apple's "Win the
Correct.
Pawn." Is that a longer title or is it just "Win the Pawn"? I'll
I think it's a much longer title, as a matter of
yeah.
fact.
I thought there was like dots after it. I was like, okay, hold on. Well, I tell you, I'm not familiar with either one. The only thing I bring to this is that Public Enemy does have an album on the Enemy list. They have Fear of a Black Planet, I believe. So
Right, true.
let that
Yep.
let
Yeah.
that
No, the Fiona
let
Apple
that inform
one's
me.
a fantastic album. I probably would vote Fiona just simply because, yeah, to your point, Public Enemy's on there already. Like, this is good. This is, part of kind of what hip hop look like moving forward. I think this is their first album, um, so it's a good representation of where they're going, but it's not their best.
Oh my God, yes, that is a much longer.
Yeah, it's like a
So
paragraph or something.
the full
Yeah.
title, the full title of the Fiona Apple 1999 album is when the pawn hits the conflicts, he thinks like a king. What he knows throws the blows when he goes to the fight, and he'll win the whole thing. For he enters the ring, there's no body to batter. When your mind is when your mind is your might. So when you go solo, you hold your own hand and remember that depth is the greatest of heights. And if you know where you stand, then you know where to land. And if you fall, it won't matter because you'll know that you're right. That is the full. That is the full album title.
Bizarre.
Yeah, I'd be
So much
I'd
for
be
brevity. Yeah.
I'd be excited to talk about Fiona Apple on the show eventually.
I think for me, the Fiona Apple record wins, and I think it's a good transition. Not transition necessarily, but like there's a funny, especially in this kind of matchup, the idea that like Kanye West was so interested in Fiona Apple and actually took a bunch of like production inspiration from her, like particularly her Criminal single. So I can see a scenario
Interesting.
where like Public Enemy and Kanye West had this crossover with Fiona Apple in context of like her production work. Um, so yeah, Fiona Apple totally aligned.
Okay, so we have set the first semifinal.
She's
For
against
the
a juggernaut next round anyway, so you know,
True.
good luck, Miss Apple.
Yeah, well, we'll see there. Yeah. All right. Scrolling back up to the Helio bracket. The next
Oh, yeah.
semifinals there are
All right. So we have
demifinals, I don't know.
The Fragile by Nine Inch Nails, their double album, or his double album, however you want to call it, versus the Mars Volta's debut album, Deloused in the Comatorium. You know, with all due love and respect to the Downward Spiral, like incredible, all-time landmark album, no doubt. I think this one, from start to end, is a better full composition, like a cohesive musical vision. That you know, there's instrumentals in between songs that really appealed to me. Like the whole first disc, first side, whatever you want to call it, start to finish is a non-skip for me. Even like the backside with Star, expletive deleted, as one of the singles. It's just a great song that I still put on. Having said that, Mars Volta was a holy shit moment for me. You know, kind of wow, this is what pedals are capable of. This is what hardcore dudes kind of geeking out on music are capable of. The first time I saw them open for A Perfect Circle, and they played 2 songs in 45 minutes, and it was just like this most like awe-inspiring, like, oh my god, this is must be what it felt like to see like Zeppelin back in the day. The way Cedric moved, the way Omar just cut loose, and that whole band. So this is kind of my Megadeth Opeth matchup here. Like either one, man, it's gonna be cool to talk about and to champion going forward. But I think for me, I probably lean Mars Volta. But like the Fragile, I've listened to, I don't know, 500 times.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that you've got two kind of concept. You've got two concept albums that are darker and maybe not as known as a lot of usual concept albums there. Yeah,
I mean, they're
I've
not
got
as
an
dark as
opinion.
In the Wee Small Hours as far as concept albums go, but
Oh,
Yeah, interesting.
dark as possible.
Yeah, I would let I would. I mean, I've got a lot of personal cash in Deloused. I do love. I have heard the Fragile. I do love the Fragile. It deserves to be on the list, but again, that's something I feel like I'm going to say a lot going forward in this episode. That's Enemy's problem. That's not a problem I caused. So, yeah, there's. I mean, I think they're both kind of similar in cultural impact. I don't. Nine Inch Nails doesn't show up on the list at all, do they? Which is that's
not even Downward Spiral.
I don't
I don't
think
remember.
so. I thought I've got the list open. Let me
I
control
mean,
that
I
real
would say
quick.
Pretty Hate and Downward Spiral would both be worthy, but
I don't-
again, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I mean, Nine Inch Nails
No,
definitely
I
had their
don't-
impact. And think about like Daria, right? Like Trent's band is called Downward Spiral, and they certainly had like a cultural moment with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean-
who doesn't like that video of Trent Reznor drop kicking the DX7 on the little stands from the '92 tour or '94 tour?
Yes.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. the Lost
Mm,
Highway stuff. You know, like there's so much awesome Trent Reznor stuff from that era, let alone his whole career. I mean, yeah, I just
But
think he deserves the love.
I gotta say, yeah, I'd go deloused.
oh,
I
thank
just
goodness.
saw if this gets weird, uh, the
I have. I,
documentary about like the very end of At the Drive-In and the beginning of Mars Volta, and
I think a long, not to put you on the spot, but I think a long time ago on the show, I told a really funny story about that documentary. I won't repeat it if you've heard it before, but if you haven't, I got to tell you.
no, I think people probably haven't heard it. Like, yeah, go for it.
Okay, so when a long while when that documentary had, but it was before it had come out, and I found out that they were doing the first thing they were trying to do was the like festival circuit.
Sure.
And this will inform you as to how big of a Mars Volta fan I am. So I I looked up the I looked up, you know, I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe there's like a festival near me that I'll be able to see this at because I've been listening to Omar talk about putting together this like documentary slash like archival footage thing for years and years and years, and I'm like, when is this going to happen? And I finally heard that it's, you know, in a form that you can watch. I said, oh, maybe there's a festival near me, I can see it. Looked it up. There's like nothing on the there's nothing on the West Coast. So while I was on the site trying to find out where the festivals and stuff were that they were putting it in, I saw that there was like a link to the like German distributor where you could submit your film festival and get like a preview copy to see if it could to see if this documentary could be in contention. So I emailed them and I lied and said that I was running a Pacific Northwest like I was running a Pacific Northwest like arts um, you know, fest thing, and I was like, oh, we would love to see this Mars Volta documentary and put it in contention. And they sent
Dude.
me a preview link, and
Whoa.
I just sat down at home and and watched the whole thing. I tried to send the link to Helio, but I don't think it worked. But yeah, like
I think it
way
was like a
before that documentary
timed
came
out kind of thing. Like, yeah, you only had X amount of time to
so
watch
way
it.
before that documentary came out, I grifted my way into seeing it by lying and saying that I was running a film festival here.
I mean, we still you still need to make that film festival a yearly event,
Oh
though.
yeah,
I
I
think.
need to email them back and tell them they won.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're doing it.
It turns out it turns out yeah. So
That's
suffice to say,
wild, man.
I will also put forward D Lost in the commentary.
I saw it before it came out on like the website where you could download it for like whatever, like $10.
Mhm.
It was doing the festival circuit, and somebody must have pulled the thing that you did and put it on SoulSeek, and I got a SoulSeek copy that still had the
It
like
was
festival thing at the beginning.
oh yeah yeah.
Don't point your fingers at me. It wasn't me.
Well, I'll say on the record, it wasn't me, but yeah, somebody may have done the same thing. Yeah. Okay,
Very cool.
deloused advances. On to back to the Brady bracket. The next matchup. Oh
Or-
no.
no,
Kyle.
Kyle's bracket.
gotcha. Yeah.
Group B. Group B.
So I was texting my buddy about like what albums he would pick. He's the other guitar player in the band that I'm in, and he was saying like, oh, the things that are most underrepresented in the enemy list are like jazz, modern metal, and classical. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess classical is pretty underrepresented. And we had just done like the Berlin School episode, so I was thinking Steve Reich was a great option for that. And I think Music for 18 Musicians is by far his most classic of albums. So I threw that on, and then I would say My Bloody Valentine. Uh, I don't think that Isn't Anything should have made the list to begin with. I think that that is like a middling record for them. I think some of their EPs are a lot stronger, and so I submitted EPs 1988 to 1991. I think like Just You Made Me Realize alone is a stronger album as an EP is a stronger album than Isn't Anything. I think Isn't Anything is pretty forgettable. Feed Me With Your Kiss is pretty good. No More Sorry is a good track, but ultimately I think like and even I would say Kevin Shields probably agrees that like they tour now on almost the entire You Made Me Realize album is played at every single live date. They do Slow, You Made Me Realize, uh, what's the other one? Thorn, uh, Cigarettes in Bed, I think, or something. I forget what the fourth track is called. The only one from You Made Me Realize they don't play live. Like almost every date is Drive It All Over Me. Um, so I think, yeah, that it's great, and just like that package is a great package in general as well, because you're getting all three of the EPs from that time period, which were all classics. The last one is Glider, that has Soon on it, which is one of the hits from Loveless. Uh, so those are my two picks for this section. It's a tough choice because ultimately, like, Steve Reich and classical music in general is underrepresented on the list. Um, but My Bloody Valentine, that specific EP, You Made Me Realize, is incredible.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Steve Reich album, so I'm gonna throw my proxy vote over. But there are songs from those MBV EPs that I've heard and I enjoy. But that would be unfair of me to to make a decision. So Kyle has my sword.
Oh,
Helio, do you got a pick over here? You gonna throw things into chaos?
what do you think, Helio? Any thoughts on
Oh, he
Reich
said he's letting
versus?
the dog. He's letting the dogs. So he
Oh
doesn't
no,
have the dog.
I'm back.
Oh, okay.
I'm going Steve Reich with this one. I really enjoyed this album. I think yeah, that My Bloody Valentine thing is awesome as well. So it is a tough, but I think they get a lot of love for Loveless, so they're
That
not lacking for
I mean
representation.
that's high. I mean that is high praise from a guy who has been talking to me about the Kevin Shields Fender pet specific pedal for like the past week or so. So
The old
Hmm.
Fender Blender, yeah.
yeah, the
Uh-huh.
blender.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely high on my gear acquisition syndrome list there. That thing's just gnarly. But yeah, no, I really liked the Steve Reich thing, and it's actually going to encourage me to look into a lot more of his work and kind of peruse more of that minimalist composition genre and everything. And yeah, it's very underrepresented. But for a magazine that put Arctic Monkeys on there 1900 times, it's not terribly surprising, I guess.
Yeah, see the negative Nancy portion of this tournament is not going underrepresented. I wish I had the the Google Doc listed where we actually had listed out like a bunch of. I know
Who
Rick had a
shouldn't be
bunch.
on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know Rick had a bunch on there. I know both me and him said Grimes. I yeah.
I think
In the interest of time, all.
no worries. Yeah, definitely Libertines was on there too. I thought, and I agreed with that. Um, the Anyway, I think I agree with you, Helio. I think Steve Reich probably passes through because
There he goes.
classical in general underrepresented, and yeah, just a music for 18 musicians is just a classic record that's worth anybody's time.
All right, Reich moves on. Now to the Brady bracket. Number the third matchup. Uh, Justice's Cross album versus My Chemical Romance's The Black Parade. Um, I think if you know me personally, you would know that this kind of is more of a fight than you might think, or depending on how familiar you are with either album. Um, if you know me, you know I love Justice's Cross. I could talk about it all day long, but I think you might be surprised how much of a fight um, the Black Parade may put up. um, I mean, I won't. Not to tip my hat. I think it's an easy decision between the two, but
Oh, do you?
yeah. I mean, I guess we'll see. Again, I'm not gonna cry. Whichever one gets through here. I love both of these albums, but my vote is tipped by Justice. Justice is more my thing, and I think it's a little bit more of an accomplishment. Even though both of these albums are ones that stand out to me on my eight as very very big accomplishments within your own genres. I mean, I don't I don't it's hard to scoff at My Chemical Romance and this album's ability to cross over because I don't like anything else that they do. I don't like basically anything else from I mean there's not a lot from their genre that I like, but I I love I love the Black Parade. If they made the whole plane out of the Black Box and the entire genre was made out of the Black Parade, I would be a big fat emo punk fan. But I'm not. I'm very much a electronic music fan though, and I think Justice's Cross, even though it's very even though it is very rated, I think it's still underrated as a achievement and as a historical thing for that time and how influential it is. I mean even right now, what's his name? The Weekend, enlists them for a lot of the they come on and do a song with him for Dawn FM, I believe it is, and like a lot of the sound of Dawn FM is basically it is Justice. Lady Gaga's last album, the one that I keep talking about on the show, is I mean she enlisted the guy Gesaffelstein, but I think he is very Justice adjacent. He's a fellow buzzy electro Frenchman. I'm sure she's a fan. A lot of the album just kind of lives within that sound. But yeah, I would put through Justice's Cross. But if you two override me, I don't I think I would save my veto if I was overridden here. I'll leave it at that. I'll let you two decide fate.
I will just say I'm there on Justice with you, Brady. I had many a night post college at the 700 Club in Philly, dancing and getting wasted to Justice tracks. So I have a special place in my heart for that. I had my own emo phase, but it wasn't late period My Chemical Romance. So I will say, yeah, Justice wins it for me. Shout out 700 Club. Shout out DJ Bloodbath.
So now that there's no consequences, Helio, what were you gonna do there?
You know, I got
Leave my
special.
feelings out of it. What would you have done?
Totally. No, I've got a special place for both now. My Chemical Romance was kind of, I think, like the last. I don't want to say MTV record that I liked, but it kind of feels of that genre, that popular like crossover emo rock stadium level sound. For me, for years, it was like a secret guilty pleasure. Like I don't want to tell anybody I like this record
Yeah,
because I'm
yeah.
going to like
And
see
then like we were allowed
These
to
Arms
tell
Are
each other.
Snakes and all the cool hardcore bands and everything, and then it's kind of one by one like, oh, you know that song too, huh? It's a good cheesy riff. Okay, yeah, I love that song too. Yeah, okay, I love that whole album. Yeah.
Yeah.
So eventually it kind of came to this like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. We all love it, and yeah, there's
The one
55,000 people a night going to see them. Like people love it.
the one knock against it that made this a little bit easier to me is that I I I think the Black Parade and Deloused kind of live in the same neighborhood, and Deloused is the superior object in basically every way. As much as I enjoy and I like the Black Parade, but like you've both got a concept album about somebody dying and going through it basically. You're both punk bands kind of reaching beyond your
That's
genre
true.
and your thing, and like just a whole lot of the stuff that the Black Parade does well, Deloused does excellently. So
One of you has Liza Minnelli, one of you has John Frusciante and Fleet.
yeah.
I mean, like,
so if it did turn into a fight, I was gonna deploy that and see if I could change anybody's mind, but
Are we
I'm
saying
glad that
Gerard Way is Liza Minnelli? Is that what you're saying? What is
she
I
that?
mean,
she
she's
has a
not
guest
not.
she has a guest spot on one of the songs.
Oh,
She's
really?
on.
That yeah,
Uh,
I want to say Mama.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she
I
kind
didn't
of comes
realize
in as,
that's.
if this is their wall, she kind of comes in as the judge at some
Hmm.
point.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's how
go
much
back.
I know
Yeah,
about the
go
Black
go
Parade.
back and check that out.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it coincided with her like Arrested Development,
Yeah, she
cameos and
was having a
everything, where
moment.
it's just like, here's the, our Jen's Liza Minnelli nod. I will give a quick shout out to Justice's Cross though. Like when we started this show, God, 15 months ago now, I was not much knowledgeable or into electronic music, and that was kind of the album you threw to me and said like, okay, if you like this, I can send you in a couple different directions. So I put it on. I gave it a solid, honest listen, and I loved it. So from there, like, my interest and enthusiasm for electronic music has really grown. So that album's probably going to have a lot of weight punching for it, coming out of my corner as we go on with this.
Yeah, a little behind the scenes, a bit. Actually, I had when we first sent lists over, I was the one who had Van Halen self-titled on my list, and you're the one who had Justice's Cross on
Yeah.
your list. And I don't know how
It
that
just felt too out
I
of
don't know how that
character.
worked. Yeah, I don't know how that worked out, but basically, I said we should probably trade these. I don't know how it happened, but yeah.
We still had
Wow.
images to uphold, like
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm the
I
finger
mean,
tapping guy,
I mean,
you're
I
the
think
you're
at the
the
time
the
my
French
list was
touch
very,
guy.
yeah, I think at the time my list was different, and I was also banking on the fact that you already had Justice Cross, so that's why it didn't make mine. But like once I saw that was happening, I was like, let's do a little horse trading here.
Give me that back.
keep,
Yeah.
yeah, keep it a little in character. All right, moving on into the contributor bracket one more time. Okay, now we may have some trouble.
Yeah.
So the next matchup is the Cocteau Twins, Heaven or Las Vegas, a major heavy hitter, which is well, okay, and I'll say it's fighting against Tom Petty's Wildflowers, and these are two. These are the two in the contributor bracket where I'm like, why is neither of these on the enemy list?
Yeah. Heaven or Vegas not being on there, but Treasure being on there in like the Cocteau Twins
I think that's the
discography
thing.
is
Yeah,
really weird.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
I'm
Uh,
voting for the Cocteau Twins, to be quite honest. A number of reasons, like list, this bracket already has two Tom Petty things forward. Wildflowers, I think, was like the first Petty CD I got, so like I do love it. But I think in terms of like impact and overall, just importance and needing the recognition, I think Cocteau Twins. I don't want to say far outweighs, but definitely outweighs Mr. Petty on this one.
Yeah, and I think it kind of speaks to the power of that album that we're not saying, there's a lot of times in this tournament already where we're like, so and so has an album on the list, or and that hurts them. Cocteau Twins already having one on the list is not hurting them. I don't think it.
And even the fact that Liz Fraser got the love on the Massive Attack episode, like she's definitely going to be a recurring character, but it is some really good work, so it's hard to pass on that one.
But I do love Wildflowers, but there's some politics going on here. Petty's represented in the next stage. I'm not shedding tears that Wildflowers doesn't get there, even though it's got a lot of my favorite Petty songs on there, or at least like that kind of era, because he also had God, I forget the name of the movie, but like they had like thrown a bunch of their tracks into like the soundtrack of a movie too at the same time. And there's just a lot from there's a lot. He was pretty prolific during that era, I think, because he was going through a divorce and had nothing else to do than just be in the studio doing his thing.
And King of the Hill
and
was a
not that
few
he's-
years away, so yeah.
yeah, not that he's not prolific at almost all times, but like, yeah, that was a very like productive time for him, and there's a lot of great songs that come out of it. But yeah, he's got
Kyle, you might have to break the tie here.
he's got some cars. He's got some. Oh no, I wasn't I
Oh.
wasn't voting for Tom Petty. I was saying that's why I would have the Cocteau Twins go through.
yeah. I mean, they're like but between them and Jesus and Mary Chain. Like they developed the shoegaze sound, right? I mean, you don't get to shoegaze with all of the chorus and wild effects without their influence. And certainly like the kind of sweet female vocal that eventually becomes like such a cliche with later.
A good one, yeah.
Yeah, in a good way. With later.
And she's
shoegaze
so good at
bands.
it. She kind of ports that over to yeah, like mezzanine and techno as well through that album.
True. True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so they move on. So let's get our.
Should we go in reverse just to finish these last ones up here?
Oh,
Start from the bottom.
do you
and-
want to? Do you want to start? Okay, yeah. To mix it
Yeah.
mix it up. Let's go snake style.
Yeah.
We'll stay here. We'll stay here in the contributor region with the final matchup: Brian Eno's "Another Green World" and the Replacements. Let It Be. I don't. I'll admit I don't know either of these albums, so it's up to you guys. Tell me about them.
I'm going to push through the Replacements on behalf of Mr. Quinn. I know it's just a super great like 80s pop indie college rock record. Just yeah, good start to finish. The Eno one is I mean, I know we're going to talk about Eno for recorded on a podcast with better equipment purposes. But is Eno on the list otherwise outside of like maybe did they have anything like a Roxy
don't-
Music type thing or
Oh, I didn't look for
it-
Roxy Music. I don't think
Roxy
they are,
Music
though.
is on there.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Twice. For Your Pleasure
Okay.
and the self-titled. So
yeah,
Okay.
and
Both
I mean like
both Eno records.
if Music for Airports is on there, like I'm fine even
I
more
don't think
so.
it is.
but-
Music for Airports.
actually,
isn't on
he
there?
does have an album. He has Here Come the Warm Jets.
Okay.
Is
Which is
listed.
his like Steely Dan ripoff album. Well, no, I think he did it first though. I think he does it before Steely Dan is doing like the
Yeah.
studio musicians writing the record for him kind of thing. I gotta say, in doing the research for the recorded on a podcast with better equipment episode, I'm liking Mr. Eno less and less. I was like a huge fan of Music for Airports and yeah, and some of his other like ambient work, like the ambient series 1 through 4. But learning about him as a person has made me like him a lot less. So I'm
Interesting.
going
I
replacements.
can't
as
wait till
well.
that happens to us on our.
No, that's a cliffhanger. Yeah.
I think it kind of happened on our Shins episode. Maybe
Sure,
I
Mr.
mean
James
maybe it was
Mercer,
just
yeah.
maybe it was just me. What's that guy's name from the Shins?
James Mercer.
Yeah, there was like another podcast where it was fantastic source material because it was just him talking about just that album and everything about it like the entire time. But like by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, this guy's vibe is off. I don't like this.
Dude, that's
Just
how
something.
I'm feeling. Yeah.
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 I'm
That's
intrigued
funny how
to
that
hear
happened.
the dirt on Mr. Eno though. That's gonna be fun.
Right on. Okay, so the two matchups in the contributor group are set. It will be Peter Gabriel's "So" versus Fiona Apple's very long titled album, and then
With
the
the
Cocteau
appropriately
Twins. Yeah. Then the Cocteau Twins, "Heaven or Las Vegas" versus the Replacements, "Let It Be." That's how
Nice.
that stands. All right, so heading back up the list, back into my bracket. The final matchup: the Queens, "A Night at the Opera," and Gorillaz, "Demon Days." Let me hear what
Jesus
let me hear what you
Christ.
guys think, and then I have a proposition that I was. Well, I'll tell you about it. Let me hear what you guys think of this matchup, and then I'll tell you what I think should happen.
Well, I think, being a Gallagher loyalist as I am, I'm obligated to bash Damon Albarn. So, there's that. But like,
But this
you
is
know, I
his
thought
finest moment,
it is.
possibly.
But-
I don't,
But
depending on how much you
is-
like Blur.
like Bohemian Rhapsody is like a defining song across multiple generations, whether it was the 70s, whether it was Wayne's World, whether it's even like my son now who barely likes music knows that song and puts it on like because it's such an epic, great song. That's not to say that's the only song on there. Like You're My Best
I was
Friend
about
as well.
I was about to say even if you took Bohemian Rhapsody away, the rest of the songs on that album are really really good.
Yeah. But I mean, like the Gorillaz album too. Dude, this is a tough one. Because as far as like the aughts go, this is kind of a defining record of the era, I would say. Especially in terms of radio play. The animation. Crossover. Just the idea of the group as well as bringing in like Deltron and Del the Funky Homo Sapien. Getting those guys more mainstream exposure. I think was a really key thing that came out of this record.
Yeah, I mean, Bohemian Rhapsody is overplayed, but I don't think that takes away from it as a classic. There's also, I think that one has I'm in Love with My Car on it as well, right? And
Yep,
then
it does.
Mm-hmm.
I think Best Friend is on there too.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like those are like just classic Queen songs. And I got I'm on the same side of the Gallagher Blur fence that Helio's on. I never got into Blur. I like song 2 and I like the story behind that. I think that's funny. But I say ultimately like, and I guess that's the other thing about it is like I think Gorillaz is a better project than Blur in some senses. It's certainly more like there's more pop appeal. It sold a lot of Suzuki Omnichords for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, but I lean Queen, and yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm with Queen.
Okay. So, I mean, there's not going to be an upset here, but so when we got into the tournament, I was under the impression that at the end, me and Helios finalists were going to have to battle it out basically for an episode. I'm glad to hear that we've arrived at that we're all three going to be able to do our winners. But as I was sitting and I was thinking, that me and Helios finalists may have to go head to head. I was gonna throw in a plot twist, basically. So my thing was if I got to the end and I didn't feel like basically like fighting, I didn't feel like fighting Helio to the death over his finalist. What I was going to do was offer to step aside if we would replace Danger Mouse's Grey album from the enemy list with Demon Days, because two things. He did produce Demon Days. He's a very big influence on Demon Days. But the second thing is I don't feel like the Grey album should have qualified as an album that should be on the enemy list in the first place. It's a mashup album. For anyone who doesn't know, that's Danger Mouse's. He took Jay-Z's Black album and the Beatles' White album and made like a mashup thing of them. But there's way too much surviving material, especially from the Jay-Z album, for me to be like, like I love mashup and remix projects and stuff like that. I really like Girl Talk, and I didn't look at the timeline, but if Danger Mouse's Grey album qualifies to be on the list, then one of the Girl Talk albums should be on there. But anyways, I was going to offer up in the end to step aside, if we were willing to like basically pull out the Grey album from the enemy list and replace it with Demon Days. So I'm still putting that on the table. I think we should do that, because we'll still talk Danger Mouse.
How about just declare it now? We'll do a combo episode on that one.
Sure.
Give it a little bit of great.
Yeah,
album,
I think we can do that, because really, what are you going to talk about for the Grey album? Like, it's very cool. He created beats out of the White album and has Jay-Z rapping on it, which is cool. But yeah, like what were we going to do a whole episode?
Right. I mean, if we're going to do that, we might as well do Beatallica, the group that mashed Beatles and Metallica songs,
Oh God.
I mean, but we're not going to.
Yeah. Okay. So, Queen advances. I think it's insane that Demon Days, especially in the context of a UK magazine that was probably like arm in arm with Damon Albarn the entire time he's coming up, does not have Demon Days on their list. But again, that's Enemy's problem. That's not mine. Oh, geez, I fucked up. I accidentally put. I
Did you force through
I
Demon
accidentally
Days?
put Demon. I was talking about it as I was clicking. Okay, there we go. It's
Okay,
easy
here,
enough to correct.
before you undo it, before you
Yeah.
undo it, we have not had one enemy writer that has stopped to say, yes, Queen should be on that list. Why isn't this
That
album
yeah,
on there?
that is true.
So like,
I mean, I'm still not going to advance Gorillas because we're doing this caveat. But yeah, that is an interesting thing to.
I just, yeah, for future note,
Yeah,
I guess.
none of them. Yeah, none of them have. And I think maybe
We've brought it
David
up with all of
Renshaw
them.
had. I think maybe David Renshaw had explained that Queen has become their like supermarket music, which hasn't happened to us. So I still have
Or if
a
it
very-
has, I'm not objecting to it.
yeah, I've still got a very big appreciation for it. But yeah, if it was playing in the background of your banking commercials, as I believe either Al Horner or Renshaw had said, like that's what it's become to them. Like, yeah, maybe that would
Fair
affect
enough.
my feeling on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that is an interesting thing to note.
All right, on to we are on to Kyle's last matchup of the first round.
Yes, this is a
Pop
really
that.
interesting one.
You want to pop that back on the screen there, Mr. Brady?
Oh yes, here we go.
So
Share my
two
screen.
very obscure records. We've got videotape music, which is even more obscure now. Now that you guys have been looking to try and listen to it, and it's not available.
That was a
anywhere.
hunt, yeah.
It's not on Spotify. It's not on YouTube. But it is a 2012 record from a hip hop collective in Japan. It's called Nanahaku Yoka, which means 7 days, 8 nights, or no, 7 nights, 8 days. And it is essentially kind of like it has elements of Tropicalia as well as like Jay Dilla style like beat mashing kind of stuff. There is some Japanese rapping. There is some live instrumentation as well, like some melodica and live drums. And the entire record is said to have been culled together from samples that they took from an abandoned video store, which is why the name of the album or the name of the band is Videotape Music. And I think it's a great record. I think it's a great like relaxing listen. It has that kind of Japanese melodic sensibility that I don't think you get anywhere else. And I think it really sets the tone for a lot of later anime hip hop like crossover stuff. There's a show that came out maybe 2 years ago now called Odd Taxi, and their intro music is like so similar to this. I think that this album has a bigger influence in like Japanese hip hop music than people are necessarily aware of. Um, and so does it does it align with like Enemy's general sense of what like a good album is? Maybe not. Like I don't think Donuts is on the list or any other kind of like um,
Yeah.
weird hip hop experimental stuff is. But for whatever reason, like this just like popped into my head as like an album that I go back to frequently, and especially like the singles, "Slumber Party Girls Diary" and "Hot Pants in the Summer Camp." I think those are two really great singles from the album.
For what
Um,
it's worth, real quick, Donuts is actually number 386 on the top 500.
oh,
Okay,
okay.
yeah, I
So,
know we had
not
talked about
opposed.
it. We had
Yeah.
talked about it because it came up on the Rolling Stone list as one of our
Mhm.
multiverse things. But yeah, I'm glad we'll get to talk about that in the future. But yeah, I did really like the videotape music songs that I got to listen to. Hot Pants in the Summer Camp is a super great song.
Yeah, it's a bop, as they say. Um, and then on the Tropicalia, this is a good matchup in and of itself because these are both like Tropicalia kind of inspired albums. Haruomi Hosono is the bass player from YMO or Yellow Magic Orchestra. This is a pre-Yellow Magic Orchestra album that is a collaboration between Haruomi Hosono, Yuichi Sakamoto, and Shigeru Suzuki, who are all um, just like studio musicians from Japan. Tatsuro Yamashita is also on the album, who has the like a classic city pop album called For You, And this album was
Oh.
intended to be a library music album for any scenes that had kind of like beach scenes or that kind of thing. So it was released on like the Sony label for library music. It's called Pacific, and it also has the last track on the album is a proto demo for a track that eventually winds up in the YMO catalog. Um, it's a fantastic album as a whole. It has kind of like a Beach Boys homage in the middle, and you'd anticipate that like a Beach Boys homage from a Japanese group having a kind of potentially like the vocal would be weird or whatever, but it sounds perfect. It's exactly what you would imagine for that kind of thing, and it's really like a it transports you, if you will. You put this album on, you grab a drink, a mojito or a daiquiri or whatever, and it really puts you in on the beach, if you will. Um, and I think of these two, and because of like I think the influence that Haruomi Hosono has, and the fact that there's no like YMO represented on the, or really city pop or any of that like Japanese um, music from like the 70s, early 80s. I think for me, I have to pick the Haruomi Hosono record.
Yeah, I think that connection is kind of what puts it over the top for me too. I mean, I've only listened to both of these once, but I will be listening to both of them a whole lot going forward. But yeah, maybe like last year or the year before, like yeah, I forget who gave it to me, but yeah, like the Japanese kind of city pop, Steely Dan worship whole thing is very much very much my thing now, and like I love hearing new stuff from that and getting suggestions and things. And yeah, YMO is YMO. Like they ought to
Yeah.
be they ought to be even more well known than they are becoming or have been. So
Right.
that's what would put him a step ahead.
I mean, I loved the videotape music album, and even more so the concept just behind it, of that kind of found sample and what they did with it. But I'm definitely going to say like if Krautrock was my sound for 25 and 26, I'm thinking city pop might be creeping in for like the sound of 26 and 27 for me. I'm just loving those more and more. So I think I'll go with Haruomi Hosono on this one. I, I'm just I'm not blown away because like generalization here. Plenty of talented Japanese musicians, but like the melodies and just like sensibilities in the music I'm hearing from like that Japanese city pop scene is just so good. Like every single thing you put on is just like so precise and well done and just like on the nose of like you guys nailed this. That's exactly the song I would have made running with this idea. That's the chords you should go with. I mean, it just yeah, flawless stuff. So vote for City Pop is a vote for Hiromi Hansono.
All right, he's through. So the next matchups in the Kyle bracket are Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever versus Joanna Gruesome's Weird Sister, Steve Reich, Music for 18 Musicians, and Harumi Hosono, Pacific. That will be tough. All right, now we get to round out the finalists over in the Helio bracket. Introduce us to these.
Okay, yeah. So the first one is a relatively new one for me. I think everybody. If you have a TV, if you have a radio, you've heard "Cars" by Gary Newman. Yeah, great, all-time song, catchy as hell. But there's a lot of stuff on the rest of this album, the Pleasure Principle, that is also just tremendous. Deals with a lot of modern themes we even look at now. Kind of this man versus machine AI type thing. Loneliness in the digital era. The song "Me" is about like the last robot turning off itself after all the other robots are gone. Like, just kind of these really fun, grand ideas that excite me a lot right now from a songwriting standpoint. As we kind of move into the AI era of the world. On top of that, I watched a really good documentary called Synth Britannia the other day, which kind of talks about the evolution of synths coming into popular music in Britain. And really, this is kind of one of those first couple albums that informs new wave and informs like the 80s pop sound. So he kind of has that unique personality too of like he's not quite this poppy sex symbol guy. He's just kind of like a nerdy, every guy, with a little bit of eyeliner on, making cool music about like sci-fi type themes, and he's using modern instrumentation to do it. And he's really grown into this just, big time rock performer. But he's also against, one of my personal favorites, and that's King Crimson's Red. Um, there's I don't, this is tough because I feel like I probably could have picked three or four different King Crimson albums. I mean, In the Court of the Crimson King is like a landmark album, but
Discipline.
right, Discipline. I mean, Three of a Perfect Pair is another one. Like the Adrian Belew era Crimson. You have like the, you know, 70s, Fripp led um, type stuff too. That's just unreal. So I just wanted to get King Crimson on the list. Um, One More Red Nightmare, Red, the title track, Starless, they're all incredible songs. If you've ever seen them live, these numbers absolutely cook. Like the album in 74 doesn't do justice how good those songs sound in person. They are just huge. These days they're touring as an 8 or 9 person group. So like it's definitely big. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Where do you guys land on this one?
Da, 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 da. I'm red. I want to see red against Deloused.
Right? Okay. That's a very good matchup.
I think if we were, and I'll say I was gonna hand my proxy vote to Helio because I have not listened to Red as much as I should have. There's so much King Crimson to listen to.
True.
The I think if we were having a sub tournament of album covers, I think the Pleasure Principle may go all the way. There's a few great album covers in here. I don't know if you guys have seen the Helio. You may want to Google this, but there's a cover for Tyler the Creator's Wolf where it looks like a mall studio like head floating photograph. That's a really good one. Rust
Nice
in
glamour
Peace.
shot. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that.
Rust in Peace, all time classic. But yeah, I'm forever mesmerized and beloved the album cover for the Pleasure Principle, and the music inside. But yeah,
I
as I
think
said, I'll hand this one off to Helio.
yeah. So like I'm coming back to like fine points here to break the tie. Like Gary Newman kind of made it cool for like drum machines to be used in like pop music or rock music too. Did King Crimson push forward prog any more than say Floyd did? I don't know. Was prog kind of already on its way without it? Um, Hard to say. So like I don't know, man. Kyle, where you said Red, Brady, you're on the Gary Newman side of life. I guess I have to make a decision to man up, huh? Let's go King Crimson. I can't even put my foot
We're
down.
getting into
And
the point where it's starting to feel bad.
exactly. Okay, let's do. I'm gonna go with my flavor of the month. Let's do Gary Newman. As
Here
much
he
as
goes.
King Crimson deserves a lot of love.
It makes the next decision easier. Let's just say that.
Really?
For me, at least.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. Do you want to snake again? Do you want to just
Should we just
do you
at
wanna,
this point now that we've kind of set our pieces, just kind of get down to our next
yeah, if
rounds?
there's anything, yeah, you can let us know if there's anything more or anything interesting you see in the matchups. But yeah, let's
Yeah.
figure out our
If you
let's
want to
figure
throw
out
those
our
back up on
final
screen here.
matchups before we really
Yeah.
chew on them.
Yeah.
So let's snake again. Let's figure out Helio's final matchup here.
You gonna
And
get back on
I
screen
don't
there.
know. Yeah, I don't know what is going to happen when I select winners for this part. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Where
Something
does it
Yeah,
put it?
I didn't
Yeah.
test it out that much. Yeah, we'll see. It's something. It has to be able to figure it out, right? Like,
Okay.
okay.
So
Anyways,
Cars self-titled versus Van Halen self-titled. I mean, holy shit. Like which side of the fence are you on? Are you on pyrotechnic guitar playing, or are you on like well-rounded, flawless pop songs? I mean, like these are tough.
I think that for me personally, I think of the considerations that we're doing, it feels like it feels more blasphemous that the cars are not on the list. That seems like something that the enemy. That seems like something that should be a pillar of the enemy identity, or that they should at least recognize as a pillar of a lot of things that are on the list, and a lot of things that kind of make up their magazine's personality. It's really weird that they don't recognize that that the card self-titled is a big part of that. I mean, the Strokes that we're going to cover after this are at number 4. They owe their like entire lives to like 3 or 4 songs on that album.
Yeah, I mean, like, the personal impact vote is like Van Halen, and I no secret on that. Like, Van Halen was my
It
hero for
has a
20
lot of shit
years,
on it.
but like, I think it has to be the Cars.
Yeah, I vote Cars as well. I feel like I don't go. I mean, I know that like a lot of the tracks on the Van Halen self-titled are hits, like "Running with the Devil," "Eruption," "You Really Got Me," "Ain't Talking About Love," "Jamie's Crying." Like those are all like, like Billboard hits for sure. But when I think about like an album that I go back to, like even now, I I would rather throw like in the moment, I would rather throw on the Car self-titled than Van Halen. As much as I'm inspired by like Eddie's playing and the influence that he has, um, I feel like my aesthetic is more drawn to the Cars.
Cheers to that. I mean, and again, like me 5, 10 years ago, probably would have Van Halen in the number one spot and fight you all tooth and nail to get that album, or like 1984 or right here. Like I probably would have had 3 Van Halen albums on there. Such a dork about it. It'd be
And,
Van
and again,
Halen,
it's a crime
Satriani,
that
and
they
Vi,
aren't
and
on the
Yngwie.
list.
Right, right, right.
That's crazy.
So Cars
That's
it
very
is.
crazy. That's very crazy. Okay, yeah, they might.
Okay, Kyle, you alluded to this maybe being an easy one, and I don't think we need to spend much time on it. We're pushing through Mars Volta, right, guys?
Yeah, that was my
Okay,
response.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, phew.
With
All
all
right.
with all due love and respect to Gary Newman and King Crimson for that matter, I think King Crimson would have made it more of a debate since they're similar,
For sure.
in terms of prog and the impact. But yeah, Gary Newman, like, love you, but you're not Cedric and Omar.
Yeah, that'll be a fun discussion going ahead. All right,
Oof.
back
Yeah.
down to back down to Kyle's.
This
Back
is
down
tough
to Kyle's
too.
finalists here. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? It's
I've
Tom
been
Petty's Full Moon Fever
yeah.
versus Joanna Gruesome, Weird Sister.
These are
Uh,
big records for me, both of them. Yeah, it's tough. I guess it has to be Tom Petty. I mean, Joanna Grisham's cool. They didn't make the list the first time. They're both unrepresented. Uh, but yeah, let's go.
I'm
I'm
gonna
going
I'm
Tom
gonna
Petty.
devil's advocate here for you.
Oh,
And
okay,
again,
okay.
it's kind of the same question as last round. Are you guys cool with having 2 out of the final 8 albums being Tom Petty?
we'll
Because
see
chances are
what
Tom Petty's going to beat Opeth. Chances
we'll
are.
see. You think?
I
I
don't.
would
I
not
don't
call
know.
that. I'm not calling that. I don't think that's guaranteed.
It's worth
Yeah.
discussion.
I
I
tell
mean,
you, I can see it. I can see a world where I spend more time with that Joanna Gruesome album and really like it, but I don't see a world where I end up liking it more than Full Moon Fever. So
that's fair.
yeah, Helio,
I,
were you
I
going to go to bat for Weird Sister?
I was, but I was also going to go to bat just to say we can always come back to that one if we want to see how Tom Petty versus Opeth plays out.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
do you want to?
That game can have a rain delay. Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to this one.
Kyle, if you want, I could go
Yeah,
either
yeah,
way on that one.
we put a pin in
Oh,
it. Why not?
okay,
Okay.
but yeah, all right. Well, I tell you what. Let's how about no, I don't know.
I think this next
We'll
one's
talk it when we get there. We'll talk it.
yeah,
I've we've got politics and scheming to do
yeah,
apparently.
yeah.
Okay, so so we're leaving that one TBD for your next.
I feel like Reich versus Hosono. I go Reich only because he's more influential overall. Um, I think like you don't have Tangerine Dream without Reich. You don't have. I feel like minimalism in general that comes into pop music. Like I would even say like Steve Reich has an influence on like some of the minimalist like post punk that you get, even like Joy Division and stuff like that. I don't think they talk about Reich necessarily, but I think bands like Joy Division were influenced by some of the Kraut bands that were influenced by Reich, and that lineage doesn't exist without him. Um, I also think like his tape manipulation stuff is also something that influences like a much wider group of characters, like Eno, and like Frippertronics wouldn't exist without the phase experiments of Steve Reich from like '65. So things like "It's Gonna Rain" and the two tape machines going simultaneously and phasing back and forth. I feel like Eno's idea for Frippertronics comes out of using two tape machines in that same way with sound on sound. Not to say that like Eno invented sound on sound, but he did invent, not invent, but he did popularize it with Fripp in that context, and I think that doesn't exist without Reich.
Yeah, I think he's the vote. But again, this is just the challenge of this exercise. Is I think we'd all be happy to talk more city pop. As
Oh,
the show
true.
goes on and
Yeah.
evolves. But like, I think if we have to pick one, I think Reich is the way to go.
Will will YMO or things like that eventually get talked about on recorded on a podcast with better equipment?
We could certainly like
I
there.
floated the idea that
I would feel much better
when
about this pick if we if
when
we
we
thought that was coming
exhaust
eventually.
when we exhaust the krautrock scene, maybe we move on to other worldly movements, like Japanese city pop, like French touch, where it's more of a worldly show.
I feel like
That
now that all three of us have expressed a love, it may just happen anyway at some point.
yeah, or it's another side
We're
project.
allowed
Who
to
knows?
we're
Yeah,
allowed to make pit stops as as
exactly,
we are. Okay,
exactly.
cool.
So yeah, Reich is knowing that we're going to come back to in some form or another on the,
Okay.
the
Let me get
Japanese
back to
side
my
of things.
screen here. Okay, here we go. I'm calling him the winner. There we go.
All right.
Group C, the Brady bracket. So, so you sounded pretty sure that I was going to put Petty ahead.
Stand the torpedoes, right?
I,
Yeah.
yes, but I'll tell you, I had my notes written out. Again, I thought we were going to be able to pick our own brackets, and in my notes, I'm pretty sure I had. Okay, well, my first note here is leaving either one of these out is going to make me sick.
I hate to
And so
say it,
here,
but looking ahead, I feel like this is the winner of your bracket in this matchup right here.
well, so I'll leave my note here, and then I'll leave it to you two. So my note here is I can't truly explain why, but I feel like Blackwater Park needs to move ahead. I've listened to both of these a huge amount of times, and Tom means a lot to me. It is an actual crime that he's nowhere to be found on the list, but I still can't shake the feeling that Opeth and the aughts metal and kind of progressive rock as a whole might never get its due on the show if we don't talk Park. So, not to put too much pressure on Kyle and Tom over in the other bracket, but I did ahead of time. I did ahead of time push through Blackwater Park, but I will abide the council's decree on this.
Helio, it's on you, man. I don't feel. I mean, I'm happy to push Full Moon Fever through above. If you dig Opeth enough, go for it.
I don't know. I was just kind of laughing at the idea of Brady 3 days from now texting me something like, "How did no Tom Petty album make it to the final four? How the heck did we let that happen?" Um, yeah, let's go.
This is not the I'll tell you, if it's up to me, again, like we just said with City Pop, this is not the death of Tom Petty on the Indy 500 podcast if it happens. So follow your heart.
Listen to your heart.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
get
exactly.
her what to do.
All right. Opeth it is.
Wow. Okay. There they go. Well, like I said, I did also knife Tom in my pre notes. So it's not that the politics influenced me, but are we putting him through
Yes.
in the Kyle bracket?
Putting
Okay.
him, I mean, for me, unless Helio feels
I
otherwise.
no yeah me.
I mean, like
me
I
and
said,
you.
it would be funny to me, like after the fact, to have all these Tom Petty nominations and have it not even make it to the semifinals. But yeah,
Okay.
we have
So
to.
now, my next finalists here: Justice's Cross versus Queen's A Night at the Opera. Now I had notes on this. I did, but I'm not going to refer back to them because I think I've been. I have a feeling I probably agree with my notes, but I think I've been influenced by the comment that Helio made that none of our NME interviewer guys have gone to bat for Queen. This
Yeah. So I guess my only I get Justice, the guys in the group have gone on to influence and do a lot of other stuff and crossover. With regards to this album specifically, is there as big of a cultural impact
no,
as
I mean
A Night at the Opera?
Yeah, few things have as big of a societal impact as.
That's like the only thing giving me pause in this matchup is like
But
that
also
the-
at the
the
same
Queen
time
album
that
overall is like. But that doesn't, flip by that standard, that doesn't mean Taylor Swift is, better than Justice of Cross either because it
Yeah.
sold more. Like,
but also that societal impact has also been, it's been they've had a movie made about the making of
Yeah, right.
of this album and surrounding time.
Yeah.
There's literally a Rami Malek with teeth implants movie that you can go see if you need to figure out the history of
Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody. But there's no movie yet of Xavier and Gaspard from Cross.
No.
I'll say that.
I'm voting for Cross personally, but
Oh, okay.
I don't feel
then
great
they're
about it.
probably gonna get through.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. I'm fine with Cross.
Okay.
I
here
agree.
it
I feel
goes.
like Bohemian Rhapsody's played out. There's probably more interest in somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
if you
again,
wanna learn
everything
about
else,
Queen.
everything else on that album, even the ones that aren't hits, like I mean, now that they're gone, I am gonna say there's a Brian May song on there called 39, which is like one of my favorite Queen songs, which is like it's like a sci-fi folk song. It's really good. Everybody goes.
See, Queen's one of those bands for me where like a live album or the greatest hits, if those things made sense on this list, that's where you put it. Like
Yeah.
I've always ingested
again-
Queen in that way.
and
Like
again,
my dad
like,
has
the
a Blu-ray of this,
criteria-
my dad has a concert of that. He has the greatest hits, and or
Yeah,
even like the
criteria
live
is really
Aid
weird
stuff.
because there are like EP collections, and there is, I think, one ABBA, like, I don't know if it's the greatest hits or just their collection, but there is stuff like that on there. So
Yeah, there's a couple. Yeah.
yeah, but all right.
Hatful
So
Hollow is like a singles collection for the Smiths, and then, well, yeah, I forget what there is an ABBA album on there, but I think it might just be
yeah,
a regular.
I forget which one it is, but it's either a greatest hits or a collection. I
Oh,
don't
was
know.
it? Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, it's one of the two. So it's not like they.
But that's the
I know I
exception
read
rather
somewhere
than-
that they
yeah.
didn't they like discouraged it, but they didn't like physically stop people from putting those on. So
Right.
so it
You can put on
happened.
4 national albums, and you can put on whatever you want, really.
Yeah, there's a I believe the Nirvana MTV Unplugged is on there, so it's not like they're
Oh, true.
discounting they're
Yeah.
not discounting live albums or anything like that. Like, but I feel like I read somewhere that they were discouraged or
Trying to
something
do
like that.
the album, yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so the matchup's set for mine. It'll be Blackwater Park versus Cross, which I'm just gonna walk off screen and then come back and find out
Yeah.
what you guys did.
Yeah, fair
Okay,
enough.
but let's settle up the contributor region.
I'll tell you both my votes here, and if you guys disagree, feel free. I'm going Peter Gabriel and Cocteau Twins, the 1 and 2
Yeah,
seeds.
I think that's
Yeah,
I
align.
don't know the other two. I know these two, so
Yeah.
I can at least have some feelings in the final. Okay, so let's put through Mr. Gabriel, so, and the Carcassonne twins. And I did figure out where to go now
Ah,
that we
nice.
have our.
Yeah, cross
So,
bracket. Yeah.
yeah, so there's the group stage. Oh, look, it automatically did it. Okay, so it's
Okay.
automatically sent us to
Ah,
Group
nice.
D, the semifinals and the finals. So, oh, did it? No, it didn't.
Oh,
Okay,
no,
hold
no.
on. I
Did,
need to click over. Final stage. Here we go.
is it
Oh,
there?
it didn't. I don't think it did.
Oh, here, go back to the other one real quick.
Yeah, there must be something I need to click. Sorry, this is amazing. Oh, and the group,
and
and the group stage.
There you go. Yeah.
Let's
Oh,
see.
there we
Okay.
go.
Yeah.
Start the final
Start
stage.
the final stage. Ooh.
Dun, dun,
Probably
dun,
should have
dun,
tested this
dun,
before we
dun,
actually.
dun.
There we
That's
go.
okay. This makes for
Is that-
interesting podcasting. So three clowns figuring out a website, live on air. There we go. Oh wow, look at this bracket. All right,
There it is. There it is.
there it is. Where do we want to start?
You just want to go from the top back to Helios.
I guess. Ugh.
Okay, so Deloused versus the Cars. I think
It is
in the wide world, the Cars wins out. But for us personally, at least me and Helio, I think Deloused wins.
Deloused has
I-
meant more to me, but that's
Well, also when it comes to making an when it comes to the because now whoever wins is going to get an episode, right? Like,
yeah,
I,
essentially, yeah.
yeah. When it comes to thinking of making a whole episode and talking the album, I probably would prefer Deloused.
You would.
I think so. But this is, I mean, all of these matchups, I'm not gonna cry at anybody who gets in. All at least for ours, all six here sound very interesting to.
I'd say all 8. Yeah. Kyle,
Yeah, that's true.
how do you land on this one?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know a ton about Rick Ocasek, so like a podcast about the Cars would be interesting. Like I just know him in context of producing Weezer records, which I feel like is probably really sad. I mean, I know him in terms of like the other Cars work too, and Candy-O and that kind of stuff, but not in
Yeah.
context of like his work as a producer and his later stuff. I mean, I know a ton about At the Drive-In and then Mars Volta. I mean, because I grew up with that kind of stuff.
Right. I feel like somehow this is kind of one of those, if we don't do Deloused, we still have to have a Omar Cedric verse episode, whether it's At the Drive-In, De facto, and all the other things.
Just between the two of us, it's somewhere out there. Even if it doesn't win here, it is somewhere out there.
Yeah,
I
we
feel like you got to do a Jim Ward verse.
Yeah, right?
He's the one that got left behind.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly, if you start, is At the Drive-In on the 500?
Yeah, Relationship Command is on there.
Okay, I can live with that.
Ooh,
then.
that's an interesting wrinkle.
Okay, I'll go Cars then. On that note, and only for that note, honestly.
Oh, really? Okay.
Only because At the Drive-In's on there, so we have an excuse to talk Cedric and Omar, and we can do a 2-parter if we have to, and talk Relationship of Command into Deloused or something.
I tell you what, I will put the Cars through if we do another. Yeah, if we officially append Relationship of Command with we get to talk about the Mars Volta as a whole, which I think we probably would have done anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, shocking upset then.
A little bit.
Nice.
Shocking upset from the Helio bracket. We are going to do at some point an episode on the Cars self-titled.
Vroom
which,
vroom.
I think that one very naturally slots in along with, as I said, I think that naturally slots in along with the the Strokes episode. So maybe we do that. Maybe we plan that right after. Think about that.
Sold.
Yeah, because I think the Strokes owe a whole lot to that album specifically.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Phew.
I've been trying to push Petty over the line since you guys texted me. So I love Reich, but Petty wins. Put him in.
Okay. Yeah. This
Put
one
him in,
doesn't make
coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. See. I was gonna feel bad if we came to this, and you felt pressured at all. But if you're the one applying the pressure, I feel absolutely no qualms. I cannot.
Yeah, I mean,
I
we
am
talked
so
about Reich. We talked about Glass in the Berlin School podcast. People have heard it.
I
You know,
am. I am over the moon. I am over the moon that we will officially get to talk about Tom Petty. I cannot wait to do that. Yeah. So Helio, you'll feel, and I, yeah, we'll all get back together for at least that one.
sick. All right. Nice.
Neat.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I tell you guys what, I'm so happy about Petty. I'm willing to put my entire bracket final here in your hands. Partly because both of these take up the exact same amount of room in my heart.
I mean, they're the exact same
and yeah,
sounding
partially
album,
because I'm just
you know,
so
is the
I'm
problem.
already so happy that Tom made it. You can't be made sad anymore. But yeah,
honestly, I don't know.
I don't want to let these two. I mean, if you two tie, I'll figure it out. But yeah, I'm happy either way here.
Well,
Not to put too much on you.
I feel like there
No.
is a lot of electronic music on the Enemy list, in particular like Warp Records
Yeah.
stuff, and there isn't. Modern metal is like kind of unrepresented. Like they've got Autechre, they've got Aphex Twin. And I know Justice kind of sits in its own place in the like French post disco kind of stuff, like post Italo disco kind of thing. So I get that there's a place for that in like a subgenre context, but and even though like death metal is not my preferred type of metal, I feel like that going in the direction of Opeth gives you an opening, like I said, like you guys said earlier, to talk about like the entire Steven Wilson universe, which is arguably larger than where you would net out with Justice, which is like really the only crossover is probably. Why am I blanking? I can see the stupid helmet right now. What are they called?
We have music specifically for when I forget people's names, but
Daft Punk, right? You're talking
Yes, Daft Punk. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only like
oh
real
yeah, and
crap
then the
crossover is
I mean,
Daft Punk.
yeah, no, I mean,
I will
said I
say
didn't
we've
wanna
had
put-
we've had our French Touch episode that we touched on it with.
interesting.
That's terrible
Amazing.
fun with Martin.
Incredible.
So I think Opeth just as a vote for metal
That's
and modern
amazing.
metal at that. Something
I'm-
post Rain and Blood.
I'm really happy about that. Yeah, I will say, I said that I was going to spend this week reviewing the albums that I didn't know, but basically I just started listening to Blackwater Park a whole lot. So, so this makes sense. This
Yeah.
makes me happy. There's no possible way I don't continue to talk Justice's Cross anyway all through the podcast. So maybe it's
Again,
for the
you
better.
know,
Maybe it's for the
we're,
better.
we're picking our favorite kid at this point. It's kind of the
Yeah.
exercise, right? Like there's no way
Yeah.
to make everybody happy.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm super excited for all four of these. no matter what happens in this next round too. I'm
I guess
happy.
Peter
which-
Gabriel on there at all?
let's check. I don't remember. Peter.
Because I think that was like my big contention was it's his biggest album and he's not even on there.
There's no Genesis. Nope. There's no Genesis or
No
Peter
Genesis, no Peter Gabriel. Yeah, no Peters at all. No Peters of any kind.
But there is a Cocteau Twins, and
Yeah,
I
treasures. on
feel like yeah.
there. Yeah,
I
the
mean,
'80s is pretty unrepresented just in general. Like '80s pop. There's no Phil Collins.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder what's going on there.
I mean, this is like the creme de la creme of MTV era, like pop rock is Peter Gabriel, I would say. You know, like Sledgehammer, some of those videos. I mean,
But they're,
in your
you know,
eyes,
there's
that the boombox, moment. Like this is so iconic.
I know that like that aspect of that music feels cheesy to a certain extent, but I think like the story behind So is very interesting in context of like his use of the Fairlight very early on, the crossover with like his pushing kind of like the apartheid
Mhm.
messages coming out of like his trip to South Africa. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about in context of Peter Gabriel. That's not
Yeah,
necessarily just like the Sledgehammer video and
totally.
yeah.
And I would say, like, even, on a personal, like, selfish level, getting to talk about Genesis,
Well, yeah,
pre
selling them
80s
by the
sellout,
pound. Yeah,
exactly. Lamb dies down on Broadway, all those things.
you can bring up that
And
photo of
just
him wearing the what's it?
the mask and
Yeah,
or like face
Oh,
paint. Yeah, it's something really bizarre.
he's
I
just like
don't.
as like a flower, I think.
I've seen
Mhm.
enough.
There's some stage stuff. Yeah.
I'm putting Mr. Gabriel through, and we have finalized. We
What a
finalized the tournament.
what an
I
odd
won't.
universe this is.
Yes.
This Final Four.
So we've added 4 number 501 episodes to the list, and they are the Cars self-titled, Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever, Opeth's Blackwater Park, and Peter Gabriel's So. Very interesting.
Well, I'm waiting for Sean Connery, the Spaniard, to come in and say that there can be only one, but in true Highlander
Yeah, I was going to say
fashion.
we have the ability to fight these down to number 1, but I don't want
I
to
think
do.
we well let's either rank them or fight them down. Yeah.
I mean,
Why
we're going to
not?
do them
Yeah,
all. Okay, okay, why not? All right, between the cars and Tom Petty, I would take Petty.
same. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. What
I
do you?
disagree, but
Okay,
I,
but you've been outvoted.
yep,
There you go.
that's the whole point. Yep.
Yeah, I can't even remember. I can't even remember if we've had to outvote each other at any point so far. But in the final
I think there've been a few, maybe
non-binding,
like, yeah, a few
yeah,
surprises
in the
perhaps,
final
but nothing.
non-binding, yeah, maybe we'll use this. Maybe we'll use this finalizer here to figure out the order in which they go.
Yeah.
Now that we
We'll
oh,
we'll do a
that's
third
fine.
place matchup after this one. Yeah.
okay, Blackwater Park and Peter Gabriel.
Purely
I'm
on
looking at you
album to
guys. Yeah.
album, or like, oh god.
You can start talking about how you feel
Like I
about
feel
the
like
episode that's
Blackwater
gonna be
Park.
done.
I feel like Blackwater Park is a vote for metal of the last 35 years, whereas like British 80s pop rock music is pretty well represented, as we can imagine, whether it's 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even modern sense. That's the only thing think I have going for it. Like if I'm handing this off to an NME editor or writer, they're probably saying, "Why the hell do you have Opeth against Peter Gabriel?" But we do. So, I mean, I think I vote Peter Gabriel, but which one means more to me, Metal.
Okay,
Yeah. No, I'm going to go with metal.
really? Okay, Kyle, what do you think?
I mean, the record that I like better is definitely So, but
Okay.
I'll let you tie
So in
break.
these,
Ready?
so in these final moments, we are we are finally coming to loggerheads. Thankfully, when it doesn't actually mean anything.
Wow. All right.
I mean,
Again,
Petty wins
this
the
is my
bracket
heart.
for me. I don't.
This is my heart. This is my heart fighting against itself.
Wow, no kidding. At this point, I got nothing. I think it'd be a crime against logic to vote anything but Tom Petty on this one. Like,
Okay, well, I'm gonna.
I would only be doing it to be a contrarian.
Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember when Usher was on the Tiny Desk music, and the like meme or GIF that came out of that of him going, "Watch this, watch this."
Oh no, no.
I was about to say. Watch this, and as I click, Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever is the winner.
Boom.
There you go.
I don't think Kyle disagrees.
No, no. That's I'm all there.
So do you guys want? Okay, so do you
Let's-
want
let's
to?
do- Let's duke it out.
Do you want to call? Do you
between-
want to call this the order then?
Let's
Or-
duke it out
Oh
real
no,
quick
you said.
between
Yeah, you said
Cars
third.
and Peter Gabriel. Yeah.
Oh, for
Oh, Cars are
For,
Saber. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for number
okay,
for
so
third
we're doing
place.
so it go yeah. Geez.
Petty's one. Blackwater
It's
Park's
too early in the
2,
morning.
and then the Cars or Peter Gabriel are 3
Oh,
and
to
4.
figure out okay.
Yeah.
I actually kind of, want to do the Peter Gabriel episode more than I want to do the, as much. I mean, I love that Cards album, but I think a Peter Gabriel episode and being able to
Yeah.
listen to that album for a week sounds really fun.
Again, splitting hairs here, but yeah, I think I go Peter Gabriel like by a nose.
Yeah, I mean that'll be a really fun episode.
Yeah.
You should both download a Fairlight DST and just
And then go into that.
yeah.
We'll do a dual. We'll do a dual jam on the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right,
Sold.
so that's going to be the order of our 501 episodes. Mr. Petty's Flamin' Fever is going to be first. Opeth's Blackwater Park. Peter Gabriel's So, and the Cars self-titled. And somebody should definitely write that down somewhere because I am not going to remember it in about a
I'm gonna
day or so. I'm
I'm gonna
super
take a
excited, but
screenshot.
it is also early in the morning, so I know myself and I know I will not remember what we just did.
Yeah, man. I couldn't
there we
believe you
go.
guys wanted to do 7 a.m. your time. 10 a.m. my time was challenging.
Yeah,
I mean, I was up at
it's for
5:15 today. Yeah.
the rub there is that we've got kids. So if you want to
You're up at 5 anyway.
if you want to avoid them like doing jackknife dives onto your head during a podcast, like you have to
Early bird gets the
you have to make
podcast,
some
yeah.
kind of sacrifice.
All right.
Neat.
Well,
Yeah.
there we have it, guys. 2 hours to figure out the best of 32 albums that were left off of the initial
did
Enemy
it.
Top 500 list. We did it.
I do
Tears were spilled, no blood was spilled. It's a miracle.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
I have
So far.
one last pod related bit of business I wanted to read off real quick before we exit. So last episode we covered Frank Sinatra's In the Wee Small Hours. It was odd. I mean, it's definitely out of our wheelhouse. It was fun. But we did email or try to contact all of our NME interviewees
Sure.
and ask them like who, because we were trying to figure out who put that on the list. We mentioned this episode that it's possible for one person to put something very high on their rankings and kind of sneak it in there. So we emailed them and we were like, were there multiple people
gives?
who had this on their list, or was there just one person? And Al Horner from the Script Apart podcast emailed back. So I wanted to read that off.
Oh, yeah.
He said he emailed us and said, and I'm hearing this in his voice. He said, "Oh man, I have literally no idea how that ended up on there. I can't imagine for the life of me any of the younger staff having voted for it. And even among the older ones, Sinatra literally never ever got mentioned in The Office. I wonder if there was a little manipulation there, although I can't fathom why. It's hard to imagine readers being up in arms because the list lacked any Rat Pack. Haha. Wild. Let me know if your investigation turns up any insights on the matter. Hope you and Helio are doing well. Al." So, in addition to 4 501 episodes, we also have a new enemy mystery to get to the bottom of.
The Who Done It, the case of Frankie Blue Eyes.
Who snuck Frank Sinatra onto the dang enemy list?
Is it a good sign or a bad sign that I've seen too many mob movies where I instantly have this image of like two mafia
yeah, we
type
can-
guys in the enemy printing room, like strong arming the editor?
There's
You're
gonna
gonna
be a
put Frankie on the fucking list. You're gonna put him on the list, right?
There was a brick to the enemy window. Like,
You take
all
off
in
Tom
trouble.
Petty and you put Frank fucking Sinatra on that list. That's what you do,
yeah,
all right?
that's what happened. Somebody threatened them and said replace Tom Petty.
If I see one Peter Gabriel album on there, you're gonna be slipping with fishes in the Thames River.
Okay. Well, mystery brought up, mystery solved. Excellent,
think so.
excellent work, everybody.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, on that note, any parting thoughts, guys? Any
It was a lot of
surprises?
fun.
Any?
I can't wait to do it next year. I hope we don't completely leave off who we had this year for next year, but I also think that might be fun.
I think we'll find a happy middle ground. Maybe only half your bracket can be repeats or something.
That's a good idea.
You can bring like one person back.
There you go.
Although
yeah.
if you bring back one person, then you're kind of, I think you may be tipping your hand, but yeah, we'll
Totally.
we'll cross that bridge when we
Phoenix
get to it.
down.
Yeah.
Get
All
one.
right. Well, guys, it was a fun one. I hope you in the real world has as much fun listening as we did hashing it out here. Be sure to tune in next week. We will find out what is it. It's this
Yeah.
is it, or is this it, or
Is this
is
it?
this it? Which
I've
one is it? It's this.
I've mixed it up.
What
Is
what is this? It's it.
we'll figure out what it
Anyway,
is.
it's not going to be Faith No More. It'll be the Strokes.
Yay. Yeah,
All
interesting.
right. All right. Cheers, everybody. Take care.
Good night or good morning.